Taehyung and Jungkook demonstrate with constant actions that their connection doesn't need to be hidden, not even in front of thousands of people. The way Jungkook carries Taehyung is an action repeated in different places, moments, and contexts. It could be during a concert, backstage, or even in front of thousands of fans. Jungkook does it naturally, as if lifting him were part of his routine with him. This type of behavior doesn't just happen, nor is it forced. It's part of a language they've built between the two of them. This gesture of carrying isn't something you do with just anyone. It requires trust, closeness, and above all, an emotional comfort that isn't faked. When someone holds you in their arms regardless of whether there are cameras or people around, they're showing that they don't care who sees it. And if that happens more than once, it reveals an established dynamic, something that's part of how they relate. The fact that Jungkook smiles while doing it, and that Taehyung doesn't try to avoid it or move away, speaks to an understanding between them that needs no words. Also, you have to observe what's happening around them. It doesn't matter if they're in front of an audience, if they're working, if there are photographers nearby. That behavior remains, like a thread that connects every appearance they make together. It's not just about romance or tenderness. It's a silent affirmation: this is who we are, this is what we share. That gives the scene more power, because they do it at any time, without needing to hide. In the entertainment world, where many things are carefully guarded to avoid rumors, they act fearlessly. When Taehyung plays with Jungkook, he does it in a very specific way. It's not meaningless play, it's not just casual contact. Taehyung touches Jungkook very delicately, he strokes his chin, brushes his ears, leans close to his neck. He does it with a trust that isn't built overnight. These gestures have a clear meaning, because they are forms of affection that only occur between two people who know each other very well and are comfortable with each other. Often, some people try to interpret these moments as something that makes Jungkook uncomfortable. But if you look closely, you realize that's not the case. Jungkook's gestures are also responses, and sometimes Jungkook returns the contact. It's as if Taehyung and he have their own body language, something that needs no explanation. This behavior isn't a one-off. It's repeated many times. And most importantly, it persists. It's not something they do for a camera or an audience. They do it when they're together, no matter who's watching. It's a dynamic that can only exist between two people who feel connected and secure when they're around each other. Watching these moments, it's clear that Taehyung and Jungkook aren't acting to fit any image. They're not trying to prove anything, but at the same time, they're showing everything. Because in every gesture, every touch, every smile they share, they're making it clear that they feel good together, that they enjoy each other. And that's enough to understand the kind of relationship they have, without the need for labels. When we see Taehyung approach Jungkook during a performance, it's not a coincidence or a planned act. In the video, Jungkook is crouching while singing, completely focused on his performance. Then Taehyung approaches him from behind and puts his arms around him. It's an action repeated at different times, in different settings, and under the gaze of millions. That moment when Jungkook stands up and, without hesitation, picks up Taehyung is more than just a playful interaction. It's a clear, confident, and physical response that demonstrates how much trust and naturalness there is between them. It doesn't matter how many people are watching or if the cameras are rolling. They do it because that's who they are, because they understand each other even without speaking. The language they share doesn't need to be explained with words. Their gestures, the times they touch without thinking about their surroundings, the way they hug, how they look for each other on stage, how their bodies sync up without warning, all of this is their way of showing how they feel. They don't seek validation. They don't try to hide anything. And that, in front of an audience of millions, only reinforces the truth of their relationship. When someone has a genuine connection with another person, it shows. There's no hiding it. And when you analyze that specific moment, when Taehyung hugs Jungkook from behind and he lifts him up, you see something that isn't part of a script. It's a demonstration of how they understand each other without needing to say anything. This isn't part of a show. It's something that comes naturally, something that has been building and strengthening for years. This isn't a performance meant to be entertaining. It's an honest and direct way of communicating between two people who are comfortable sharing what they have with the world. When two people repeat the same gestures over time, it's not a simple coincidence. It creates a pattern, a way of communicating without speaking. In the case of Taehyung and Jungkook, these gestures don't just appear once. They've been recorded in videos, presentations, and broadcasts where they're together. Long glances, intentional brushes, how they settle into each other, how they touch without fear. All of this happens frequently, and its constant presence indicates a relationship that is built from the body as much as from emotions. These behaviors have something important: they never seem forced. There's no awkwardness or discomfort. They don't look at each other as if wondering what to do. On the contrary, everything flows. It's as if their language is already learned, as if they know by heart the steps they have to follow when being around each other. That naturalness can't be rehearsed. It's only achieved when what happens is genuine. And that's what sets them apart. Every gesture between them appears organically, like another part of who they are when they're together. When you watch these repetitions, you also notice that they aren't imitations or fan service. They don't do it for the cameras or as a rehearsed routine. If that were the case, there would be no coherence in the moments, nor continuity in the actions. But what we see is that the same behaviors are repeated in different situations, in diverse contexts, which reinforces the idea that there is a real form of relationship behind it all. The gaze they seek, the touch of hands, how they approach, how they lean against each other. Nothing seems staged. There is a part of body language that speaks louder than words. When two people touch each other frequently and without fear, it is because their bond allows it. In the case of Jungkook and Taehyung, this contact is constant. They don't limit themselves to what is expected of a public interaction. They cross the boundaries of what is socially acceptable when there is no intimate relationship, and they do so without hesitation. That doesn't just speak of trust. It speaks of a solid relationship, a connection that needs no approval or explanation. The connection between Jungkook and Taehyung doesn't need to be defined with words to be understood. It's evident in the way they look at each other, in how they reach out for each other without even speaking. In the small moments where one touches the other without a second thought, in the gestures that seem simple but speak volumes. All of this reveals a kind of bond that not everyone can see, but that is there for those who know how to observe. When Taehyung approaches Jungkook and plays with him, he doesn't do so expecting a specific response. He does it because he trusts what exists between them. Because he knows he doesn't need to ask permission to show affection. And that security only exists when there is something stronger between two people. Something that has been built over time, that doesn't depend on what others say. And although many people have tried to deny or minimize that connection, the truth is that every time they are together, they offer new signs of what is really going on. They don't hide it, but they don't explain it either. They don't say it with words, but they show it with actions. It's a relationship that shows in the way they care for each other, in how one reaches out to the other when needed, in how their gestures complement each other. Jungkook doesn't need to respond with words when Taehyung caresses him. His body speaks volumes. The way he relaxes, the way he allows that contact, the way he follows him with his gaze. These are silent responses that confirm a deep closeness. One that isn't seen every day, nor is it built with just anyone. That's why, when someone says there's nothing between them, it's because they haven't looked closely. Because for those who observe without prejudice, the connection between them is clear. It's in every detail, in every small moment where there's no script or performance. Just two people who, without needing to speak, choose each other again and again. Furthermore, it's clear that there's no pressure between them to fit any external expectations. They don't try to force an image or conform to what others want to see. Their relationship is free, it's spontaneous. It's born from daily closeness, from real gestures, from complete trust. And that's what makes that union seem so strong and so special to those who follow them closely. When talking about Taehyung and Jungkook, one thing stands out above all else: their way of communicating without needing to speak. They don't rely on phrases or statements to make their feelings clear. Every glance between them carries a specific weight, every eye contact seems to hold a story that only they understand. This dynamic is clearly evident in the video. Jungkook is singing, but his attention never strays from what Taehyung is doing. And when Taehyung approaches him, Jungkook's reaction is immediate. There's no surprise, no doubt. Just action and response. That synchronicity isn't rehearsed. It can't be faked. It's the kind of connection that comes from knowing every detail of the other, from knowing how they move, what they need, and when they need something without them saying so. The caresses they give each other, the hugs on stage, the times one leans physically against the other, these aren't responses to a need to pretend something. They do it because that's how they live their relationship. Because contact is their way of staying close when there are no words that can clearly express what they feel. These types of interactions are often justified by saying it's part of the show. But when you observe them closely, you notice something deeper going on. They don't act as if someone is watching them. They behave as if they are alone on stage, no matter how many people are watching. This level of trust and naturalness isn't built overnight. It's only possible when there is a solid bond that is formed over time. And that bond is revealed in the way they seek each other out even without speaking. In how they react to each other without thinking. In how they don't feel the need to hide. There is a silent understanding between them. A constant conversation that takes place in their gestures. In the way one knows how the other is doing just by looking at them. In how they protect each other without saying anything. That kind of connection is evident. It can't be explained in simple words because it's not common.